Hey you, yes you. Can I have your attention? Well, sorry, I've already got your attention, obviously. As you are following and watching my channel, basically, of my everyday encounter of an everyday life, I want to draw your guys' attention to a sensitive topic right now based on basically what is needing to be addressed, as well as creating an awareness and understanding for each and one of us. I would like to say first and foremost though, however, or shall I say, that how DUNTs, especially, pretty much go about using the term of retard that I hear time and time again in our everyday life, most of the day in, day out. How do you go about using the word retard in the wrong form of context, or how you go about saying it, pretty much, or addressing it to others around you and whom they are different to you. You should be ashamed of yourselves, however, to how you go about using this term to others that are different to you. Yes, they may be a threat to you one way or another, but it doesn't mean to give you the darn right to be, talked to or called this so many times before. I want to ask you guys a few questions here, basically, before I carry on, that I would like to ask you, and obviously, hopefully, make you think more to what I'm saying into this, to give you an idea of what you're saying and doing that can affect others around you. Do you ever bother to stop to get to know a particular someone, or even have the courage to say hello, to start a conversation with these people that are different around you? Do you either bother to actually stop and think to what you are saying, or calling these people that are at least different, into how it may affect them, regardless of their personality, their character, their self-esteem, and the like? Do you even bother to talk to them, to know them a bit better as a person, regardless of them being different? Have you ever stopped to wonder, to get to know the person, instead of making assumptions or close-minded judgment calls of what people that are different, how they go about their everyday lives? However, some of you NTs, however, may think that you're only joking around or playing pretty much when you use that word retard, however. Or you're saying that you're trying to have fun, basically, regardless of this term. But to what extent do you think that you are trying to do this to someone who is different to you? I hear say right now, or even think maybe in your mindset as I'm addressing these questions, am I actually joking? Am I serious? Of course I'm being serious, obviously. Does it look like I am fooling you guys around and joking along with you, basically, of what you guys are saying, that you're playing and whatnot? I don't think so, no. Basically, I want you to feel and hear me right now to how I'm addressing it in my voice and the hearts of hearts to this issue to you all, however. I know, however, what it is like to basically have these labels and more on us, no matter what they are. Sometimes some of us may tend to easily ignore them. Some of us may take it on board and actually, have low self-esteem, self-doubt, self-insecurities of our own, basically, after these NTs of yous basically putting it on us about, why is it doing it? But to the point we do ignore them, thinking it won't bother us, but in reality it will affect us and do damage more than good, obviously. And if you wanted it reversed on you guys to how we call you retard, how would you feel, so to speak? It would be nice, however, to actually basically realize that it takes a lot of work and courage from us and whom we are different, basically, despite being a threat to you all, basically, to get rid of these labels. However, do you ever bother walking in our shoes or looking in the mirror, basically, to take a look, basically, on a different perception of our view, or how we see the world differently to you all, basically, and stop making the assumptions and just think for a bit and actually maybe, what you think about it as could be different? Have you ever looked in the mirrors recently to take a good look at your own selves, however? Why do you think this is different? Why should this be different to you? Because at this moment of time, it makes me mad, angry, and all these other mixed emotions, rolled into one. When I hear and see others that are different getting picked on, no matter what, they don't ask to get picked on just because they're being different. However, sometimes basically, as we know, people that are different, it's not their fault, obviously, being different or being a threat to you all. You know, don't get me wrong with you entities, you know, I'm trying not to make excuses, judgment calls on you to why you're doing this, or basically with these behaviors and actions that you're showing towards us, ones that are different. But in reality, as I said, you guys need a wake-up call and actually look in the mirror and actually think that maybe you are the problem, or that you are the guys that are retarded. However, as I have mentioned so many times before, or you've been following me or watching my video blogs on YouTube, that there has been so many different labels out there regardless of what they are. And I've heard them so many times before, regardless of the different disabilities and conditions and other label mentality, regardless what it may be. You name it, I've heard it so many times before. As for examples, I've heard the labels of nigger, geeks, nerds, and as I said, last and not least, 9 times out of 10, I hear the label mentality or the title retard. This can be so hurtful to the ones that are different. Many of you entities' mentality and perception, however, needs to change for the sooner rather than the later. This label of retard that I have heard so many times is hurtful and cruel, to say the least, for people that are in the disabled community, or shall we say, who are different. Pretty much how I look at it, people who are in that disabled community that suffers from either of physical or neurological conditions, such as, for example, cerebral palsy, pretty much is defined differently to each and one of us differently, even though this should not be used more today than it has been before. It needs to be broken, however, and actually been taken out of the dictionary and obviously our vocabulary, so that we can actually basically just, as I said, change our mentality and perception of people that are different. As I have researched, however, of the term of this definition, retard, online with this medical dictionary that I really love, basically, they are followed as follows for the sake of this term retard. Number 1, to make slow or delay of the developmental stage or progress of any kind, regardless. Maybe if a child is slow at learning, they shouldn't have to be, hit on their knuckles for being slow, or even punished of some kind. 2, a hindrance, be it, as I said before, that the person that is different, that they are actually obviously getting you behind in maybe schooling. 3A, a slang term that is used which is offensive, that is referring to someone who is cognitively impaired, be it, as before, someone who's maybe got cerebral palsy, or basically have some sort of disability in their mindset of brain damage from an accident, or even just born with a brain developmental problem. B, a person who is stupid or obtrusive, or is ineffective in one way or another. I have noticed today that, however, with the people I have associated past and in the present in my circle who are different, such as a person who suffers from cerebral palsy, are actually bright, intelligent and happy people, of young men of all ages. However, they may have the everyday struggles like every one of us that we face. Society and medical experts today, however, use the term of retard for people with different disabilities, as I mentioned before. How I look at this term, retard, should be replaced as a term called different, basically, as a safety word and a safety net for people that has a disability or condition. Retarded is a mean and cruel word, as I said before, that I will not accept for myself and maybe to many others out there that are different. But to you entities, however, you should be more considerate, thoughtful and careful to what and how you say to people that are different. For example, with people with cerebral palsy, or people with different, mental conditions, as well as cognitive and other different conditions and disabilities, because despite being different, we may have our different needs and basically different conditions that need to be met. Yet, we need to remember those people that are different ain't retarded at all. As I said before, they are like you and me, of an ordinary individual, pretty much, that lives their everyday lives, pretty much, regardless of what it is. The term retarded, however, I look at today also, as I said, needs to be removed out of everyone's dictionary and vocabulary. I shall say this again, it is not the people who are different that are retarded. It is pretty much you entities yourselves pretty much need to remove that mentality and assumptions and thoughts about others that are different, as well as getting the reality check to look in the mirror to change your way of thinking, as well as your attitude towards all people who are different. Also, again, as I mentioned before, it stirs me up so many times with different emotions inside of me that people who are different gets treated differently no matter what it is, or they get spoken differently, they get talked under sometimes, and maybe thinking just because they're different that, you know, they need to be talked at a small level. You know, we do have a brain of intelligence no matter what our IQ levels may be. You know, we need to be aware of this, however. We shouldn't be treated differently. We should be treated the same regardless, as I said. You know, we shouldn't have to be treated differently, basically, in the ways how you may treat your friends and family around you. We all need to be loved pretty much and respected just the same as well as being accepted, as like you said, ask us maybe to accept your guys' differences. That goes back to you guys too, to give it back to us as well. I don't ask for much, as I said before in one of my videos, basically, and it takes a term of the worst, basically, of people needing to actually really get their asses kicked, or shall I, as I said before, a reality check. Excuse my term. Sometimes, however, you got to remember we are all humans, we all make mistakes, and even though sometimes for us people that are different in your circle, pretty much, you may tend to question or even have doubt within our capabilities or abilities on how we go about doing these everyday tasks. Despite basically us being different, we may put you entities to shame. We might reach higher with these goals that we may intend to basically want to achieve in life, even though we are really hard workers and we're determined to succeed, even though many of us maybe basically don't like it, you know, be it that, you know, we may kick ass in sports and you think that, you know, just because you're high, think that you're high and mighty and that you shouldn't have that, as I said, change that mentality. Anyway, this ends for the first part of basically what I'm going to call it, basically, of the removing the labels part 2, can I have your attention? And the next part of this last chapter or series of this journal blog of this one, basically I'm going to give you advice based on how you could actually approach people who are differently, and just to give you a heads up and encouragement and thinking on how it is for people that are different. You know, as said before, that it may be a little bit repetitive to this video over, but it should hopefully drum into you as a reminder and awareness and understanding. I'm not here to judge, as I said, I'm here to encourage. So like, comment, subscribe below, and follow me on Twitter or Facebook. Give me comments or something that you may want to hear of a certain topic that may be of importance to you or whatnot. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon.